So I've noticed more and more people are doing Paul Sykes videos now, which I think is good. I think is brilliant. Yeah, just shows it shows the interest out there is great. I know what's coming with the film and the documentary. I know who's probably playing him. I know the 80s band is going to be doing the soundtrack. But do you know what? When I done the first Paul Sykes book, trying to think how long ago that was now. 6 years in March, so it was his 10th anniversary for his death, and become an Amazon bestseller. And I was like, this is going to be huge. This is going to be massive. And what I didn't realise was, because obviously I grew up quite a bit away from Wakefield, so I didn't measure the hate for him and or the strong mixed emotion either way. So when the first book come out, I was talking to different kind of people that made Stocky, and I never quite understood why Wakefield Waterstones wouldn't stock it. And even when the second book come out in 6 months exactly to the day, and that was another Amazon bestseller again, and by then the film had been signed, and I contacted the people in Wakefield Waterstones and I said, look, this is selling really well. Why isn't your outlet wanting to stock it? And that was 2017. Never got my answer till 2018, 2019, 2020 till the final book. And I spoke to, I think it was the manageress or the assistant manager, and I got my answer then. And she said, look, 2017, so it was 10 years to the day that he died. And basically, I think to quote exactly what she told me, she said, look, many of us in this shop still bear the scars from dealing with that man. You know, obviously, when you've seen Paul Sykes at Large documentary, how he was 15 years after that is a different figure to how he was towards the end of his life. You know, he'd be sat outside the shop where the precinct was, where McDonald's was, which isn't a million miles away from where Waterstones was. And if he was a teacher, he'd have about 8 or 9 of his students, of the less desirables in life, drug addicts, pissheads, just sat around, listened to him, and he would hold court. And sometimes he'd be on his own and he'd be sat there talking to the pigeons, chasing cars up and down, completely gone. Couldn't open a can of beer. And so this woman, who was the manager or the assistant manager, said, we remember him abusing us and shouting at us and spitting at us, so we really don't want him in my shop. And then the penny dropped, and I understood it. But yeah, so that was the people inside the city, the glorious city of Wakefield. I do love Wakefield, by the way, and a lot of people have the attitude. So the people who were selling the books, and it done really well, but they didn't want to be remanded, and they told me that they'd had a meeting with the buyers and said, look, we don't really want to see that man's face in our shop. So, you know, it's all very well people like myself and other people doing it, but the people in Wakefield, the city of Wakefield, lived it and still had the mental scars. So yeah, that was another story. I didn't click on till after about 3 or 4 years of writing books. I'm just trying to think. Sykes Final Agony was about my, I don't know, 15th, 16th, 17th book. I was well in, it was I only released it about 2 years ago. I'd definitely done double figures, and I could never understand why all over Britain, in Wakefield, the 283 stores, it was doing really well, but the place where he was from and everyone knew him, they didn't want to entertain it, and that was the reason why. And I'm sure a lot of yous watching this, if you're from Wakefield or West Yorkshire, you'd be nodding your head in agreement. I've met a lot of them. I've met a lot of them people who are happy that a book's been out and there's a film coming out, and then there's the people who are absolutely mortified, horrified that there's someone coming along doing work on him, because it doesn't bring up nice memories, put it that way. But let me know your thoughts. As I said, I know who's playing him. Yeah, Heartthrob. I know the 80s band who's going to do the soundtrack. I know some of the This Is England actors are going to be in it. It's going to be big news. It's going to be big, regardless of what your feeling was about him. Listen, I didn't know him, and I put that in the start of the books before ball was kicked off. I didn't know him. It was just a work project to me. But there is people in Wakefield who, and there's a lot of them in fact, it's a bit like in Middlesbrough. I've met victims of Duffy's. I met one guy whose teeth are completely missing. He was the guy, in fact, who tried to put the petrol on him, or did put the petrol on him. So I met the people in Wakefield. I met quite a few of them, and they said, listen, and I said, if I was from Wakefield or West Yorkshire, would I have liked him? Probably not. Would I have been interested in him? Absolutely. Yeah, so that's just a little video on that, just to say, you know, I totally get that not everyone, you know, if I'd have been from Bethnal Green 50 odd years ago, I wouldn't have liked the Cray Twins and so on. A lot of people think, oh, well, it's okay because, you know, well, Jack the Ripper's victims are dead, so we can make films on that, and the Crays Tom Hardy plays, so it can be romanticised. But there is victims in it all, and the Paul Sykes story, many of them are still about and have the scars. So you know, this isn't anyone who's read the 3 books, and I spoke to literally hundreds of people. It was never about glorifying it. I think I said, you know, I watched a documentary, I read the book, I walked into the story, I met all the characters, and then a film and a documentary is coming from me kind of walking into the story, if you like, and picking up a few rocks and just having a nose about. Albeit he was a very interesting character, and I totally get why Vaughan Civil wants to make that film. Is really passionate about making that film. I need to go because my hand is dropping off, freezing. I've just been in bed for the last week with COVID, so I'm just getting back into the land of living. But let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I didn't get it for a couple of years, and then when I did the 3rd and final book on it, I totally got it. Waterstones, Wakefield, didn't want to see that man's face in the shop, and there's a lot of them. That I spoke to one shop, they didn't refuse it because it was a charity shop, but they had a similar story, and they sold the stories, they sold the books dead quick. I donated a couple to was it just on Ossett or somewhere? It was on the outskirts of Wakefield, and they said we don't need to be reminded of him. So yeah, listen, I understand it, I totally get it. Leave your comments below, don't forget to click and subscribe. God bless and have a great day.